This is for secondary school students. Hello listeners, how are you today? I am Adesomi Temitayo, your ACE Radio School English teacher. Today, I will be teaching the topic active and passive voice. I take it again, active and passive voice. Do you know what active and passive voices mean? Don't worry. If you don't, you're about to find out.
This is an ACE charity initiative powered by the Malala Fund.
In English grammar, the voice of a verb describes the relationship between the action that the verb expresses and the participants identified in its arguments. Thus, this is just another way of saying yes. For some of you, just learned a new word. The voice is said to be active when the subject of the sentence does the action. What is a subject of a sentence? The subject of a sentence is the person, place, thing, or idea that is doing or being something. So that reminds you of a noun, okay? So whatever noun is acting on the verb in a sentence becomes our subject. Now, here the writer or speaker is more interested in the doer. Who is doing what? Okay? Whoever is doing something in a sentence is the subject. Whatever is doing something, whatever is becoming something is what? The subject. So here we say, once the subject is actually doing that action in the sentence, it is what? An active voice. Let's take a look at some examples. Number 1. John is writing a letter. John is writing a letter. So can we identify the verb in this sentence? What's the verb there? Writing. Very good. And of course you recognize that this is actually going on. The action has not been completed yet. So of course, what is our subject? John. Very good. So that means when we say John is writing a letter, that means John is actually doing the action. John, the subject, is doing the action of writing at the moment. Very good. Let's take a look at the second example. Ibrahim painted the house. Ibrahim painted the house. So who is the subject here? Good. If you had said Ibrahim, you are correct. Ibrahim, and what did he do? Painted, okay, the house. So Ibrahim is acting. Ibrahim is the subject acting on the verb painted, of course. So that makes it what? An active voice. Okay, here's another one. They bought a restaurant. They bought a restaurant. Now, who did what? Is our subject. What's the subject? Good. If you had said they, you are correct. Now, what did the subject do at the moment? Bought. Very good. They is our subject, bought is the verb, and of course the object is a restaurant. So another example, let's go on a little bit higher this time. The teachers informed the students that the class had been cancelled. The teachers informed the students that the class had been cancelled. Now ask yourself, who actually did something here? Who is our subject here? If you had said the teachers, you are very correct. And what did the teachers do? Informed, okay, the students. So listen to it. The teachers, the subject, inform, the verbs, and the object is what? The students receiving. Whoever is receiving the verb is the object. Very good. I hope we are learning. Let's go to the passive voice. What is a passive voice? Now, a verb is used in the passive voice when the subject of the sentence receives the action. When the subject of the sentence receives the action, at this point we can say it is what? A passive voice. Remember, for an active voice, the subject is actually doing the action, okay, and the object is receiving the action. But here, now what we have here is what the subject now is receiving that action, and at this point the object of the active sentence now becomes the subject. Very good. So it's very simple. For the active voice, the subject is doing and becoming whatever action there, and the object is receiving it. But for the passive voice, the subject now changes its position to becoming an object, thereby receiving the action, and that object will now turn and take the position of the subject. Okay, so the focus here is more on the receiver of the action. Let's look at some examples. Number 1, a letter is being written by John. Remember, the active voice says John is writing a letter. So John, being the subject, then is now becoming what? The object now. Okay, so it's now receiving that action. So the object then, and a letter now becomes the subject. So a letter is being written by John. Number 2, the house was painted by Ibrahim. The house was painted by Ibrahim. If you take a look at the active voice, says what? Ibrahim is painting the house, or Ibrahim painted the house rather. Okay, the third one, a restaurant was bought by them. That is the passive now. So the active says they bought a restaurant. Okay, so let's take a look at one more before we go. Now the last one on the passive voice says the students were informed by the teachers that the class had been cancelled. The students were informed by the teachers that the class had been cancelled. So I hope we're getting it. Now let's have a recap. An active voice will always have the subject of the sentence acting on the verb, while a passive voice will take that object of the sentence in the active voice to become the subject, while the previous subject will now become the object. Now let's do a little bit of test. Are you ready? Good. Change the following sentences from active to passive voice. Sentence 1. Are you ready? The boy asked a difficult question. The boy asked a difficult question. Now, if your answer is a difficult question was asked by the boy, you are very correct. So we have successfully changed that sentence from the active voice to the passive voice. Number 2, the police caught the thief. The police caught the thief. So in the passive voice, have the thief was caught by the police. Awesome, learners. I believe we have learned something new today and as well internalized it. Thank you for being attentive. Do have a swell day ahead. Stay at home and stay safe. Bye for now.
This is an ACE charity initiative. Powered by the Malala Fund. Hello once again, children. If you have any questions about what you've learned today, please text 070 36 30 3182.
This is for secondary school students. Hello children, my name is Kemi Olofinsila. You can call me Kemi. And today, I will be your ACE Radio School Science teacher. Let's talk about what we learned last week. Last week, we learned the circulatory system. We learned the 3 different types of blood cells and the 3 different types of blood vessels. Let's remind ourselves. The 3 blood cells are the white blood cells, the red blood cells, and the platelets. The 3 blood vessels are the veins, the arteries, and the capillaries. Today's topic is diseases.
This is an AIDS charity initiative powered by the Malala Fund.
Today we will learn about the different types of diseases and how to be aware of them. Imagine you have a running nose, a slight headache, and general weakness of the body. You don't feel active, you're not thinking fast, you feel dizzy, and you feel like lying down to sleep. In case you don't know what I'm driving at, this is what disease can cause to the body and could affect you getting involved in any activity. This means your body needs to rest because you are sick. What is a disease? A disease is a disorder or incorrectly functioning organ, part, structure, or system of the body. A disease can result from genetic or developmental errors, infection, poison, nutritional deficiency, or unfortunate environmental factors and abnormal conditions. A disease may be caused by external factors such as pathogens. Are you asking what a pathogen is? Never mind. A pathogen is an organism such as bacteria, fungi, or a virus, which causes internal dysfunctions of the immune system. Examples include immunodeficiency, hypersensitivity, allergies, and autoimmune disorders. Diseases can be communicable or non-communicable. Communicable diseases are diseases that are transmitted quickly from one person to another. Some examples of communicable diseases are malaria, AIDS, tuberculosis, cholera, Ebola, Lassa fever, and coronavirus. Non-communicable diseases are those that do not spread from one person to another, but are caused by deficiency of nutrients or due to allergy or abnormal explosion of cells. Examples of non-communicable diseases are kwashiorkor, allergies. Kwashiorkor is caused by lack of protein in the food. Communicable diseases are also called infectious diseases. They are caused by microorganisms or microbes. Microbes are tiny organisms which are invisible to the naked eyes, but can only be seen with the aid of a microscope. Bacteria, viruses, parasites, and fungi are examples of microbes, and they are found in the air, in the water, in the soil, under the fingernail, in the mouth cavity, inside the ears, in the nose, on the skin, on decomposed organic matter, and food. They can spread directly or indirectly from one person to another. Some of these diseases are transmitted through bites from insects, while others are caused by ingesting contaminated food or water. An example of a disease is the recent pandemic caused by COVID-19, which is currently causing anxiety and grinding down the economy of most nations of the world. Risk factors. Risk factors for communicable diseases can be discussed in two ways: that which you have control over and that which you do not have control over. The risk factors for communicable diseases include crowded conditions, forced displacement, poor quality shelter, poor water sanitation, and poor hygienic conditions, lack of healthcare facilities, and lack of adequate surveillance. The controllable risk factors for contracting infectious diseases are high exposure rate, lack of fully functioning immune system, lack of immunizations, and lack of hand washing. It is important to note that most of the risk factors arise from habits that start as younger children or teenagers. Staying healthy as an adult comes from forming the habits of eating healthy food, being active, and practicing a healthy lifestyle as a teenager all through to adulthood. Yes, this is up to you, and you can achieve this. You can prevent contracting coronavirus by washing your hands with soap and clean water as regularly as possible. Prevention of diseases can be accomplished through eating properly, maintaining balanced diets, exercising regularly. For communicable diseases like coronavirus, the advice again is to stay at home as much as you can to avoid contact with infected persons. Keep safe distance when you cough and sneeze, and also cough and sneeze to the elbow. In conclusion, we have learnt about the different types of diseases and how they affect our body. We have also learnt about the ways to prevent diseases. Until next time, students, remember to always wash your hands. Goodbye for now.
Hello once again, children. If you have any questions about what you have learned today, please text 070 36 30 3182.
Hello students, this broadcast is for secondary school students. My name is Mrs. Oluwashino and I welcome you to today's maths class on Ace Radio School. Learning today will be a lot of fun, so stay glued to the radio with your pen and paper.
This is an Ace Charity Initiative, powered by the Malala Fund.
Today's topic is fraction. Yes, fractions. Let's start with fractions. Are you ready? Let's do this. Fractions tells us how many parts of a whole we have. Fraction tells us how many parts of a whole we have. For example, Amina bought a whole bread. She decided to share the bread with her 3 siblings. Amina bought a whole bread. She decided to share the bread with her 3 siblings, Muhammad, Aminu, and Aisha. How will Amina share the bread? Yes, she will divide the bread into 4 parts. She will divide the bread into 4 parts. Amina gets 1 part out of 4. Which is 1/4. Muhammad also gets 1 part out of 4, which is 1/4. Aminu also gets 1 part out of 4, which is 1/4. And Aisha gets 1 part out of 4, which is 1/4. Can we add all these fractions together? 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. Let's add all the ones on the top together. 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. That will give us 4. So 4/4 equals 1. Wow! 1 represents the whole bread before it was shared. 1 represents the whole bread before it was shared. Note, in fractions, the top number is called the numerator, while the bottom number is called the denominator. I'll take that again. In fraction, the top number is called the numerator, while the bottom number is called the denominator. Let's also look at this way. If Amina decides to give only Aisha part of her bread without giving Muhammad and Aminu, if Amina decides to give only Aisha part of her bread without giving Muhammad and Aminu, and if she decides to share it equally between the 2 of them, what fraction will each of them get? What fraction will each of them get? Amina will not bother to share the bread into 4 places. Rather, she will divide it into 2 equally. Therefore, Amina takes 1 out of 2, which is 1/2. And Aisha takes 1 out of 2, which is 1/2. Let's add the fractions together. 1/2 plus 1/2. But don't forget, the top number is the numerator and the bottom number is the denominator. Now let's add 1 over 2 plus 1 over 2. That's 1 plus 1 will give me 2. I have 2 over 2, which equals 1. That's awesome, isn't it? Let's look at it in another dimension. Shitu has a glass of milk. Shitu has a glass of milk and decides to share with 2 of his friends, Ibrahim and Musa. Shitu has a glass of milk and decides to share with 2 of his friends, Ibrahim and Musa. He shared the glass of milk into 3 small glasses equally. He shared the glass of milk into 3 small glasses equally. Shitu took his share. Yummy! That's 1 out of 3, which is 1 over 3. Ibrahim also took his own share. So yummy! That's another 1 out of 3, which is 1 over 3. But Musa refused to have his own share because he wasn't feeling too well. Can you tell me the fraction of milk that was consumed? Very simple. Shitu's share is 1 over 3. Ibrahim's share is 1 over 3. Let's add it together. 1 over 3 plus 1 over 3. That will give me 2 over 3. Good job. Can you tell me the fraction of milk that wasn't consumed? Very simple. Only Musa did not consume his own share of the milk. Hence, only 1 out of 3 wasn't consumed. That is 1 over 3. A. Shitu decided not to allow the milk he gave to Musa become wasted, so he consumed it. This is yummy. Can you tell me the fraction of milk that only Shitu consumed? Can you tell me the fraction of milk that only Shitu consumed? Let's go. At first, Shitu consumed 1 out of the 3 of the glass of milk. Then he consumed Musa's share, which is another 1 over 3. Let's add it together. 1 over 3 plus 1 over 3. That's 2 over 3. Great! Beautiful! You must note that you can add fractions together or subtract fractions from one another as long as they have the same denominator, that is, bottom number. I'll take that again. You must note that you can add fractions together or subtract fractions from one another as long as they have the same denominator, that is, the same bottom number. Can we do this together? 3 over 5 plus 1 over 5. Let's add the numerator, that is the number on the top, which is 3 and 1. So I add it together. 3 plus 1 will give me 4. Note, you do not have to add the bottom number, which is called the denominator, especially when they are the same. So 3 over 5 plus 1 over 5, adding the top number will give me 4, and I don't have to add the bottom number. I have 5 remaining. So 3 over 5 plus 1 over 5 will give me 4 over 5. Brilliant! I can do the same thing for subtracting fractions. 3 over 5 minus 1 over 5. I'll just subtract as long as they have the same bottom number, which is the denominator 5. 3 minus 1 will give me 2. That's the top number. 3 over 5 minus 1 over 5. I subtract the numerator from one another. 3 minus 1 will give me 2, and I have 2 over 5. Wow! Explicit! I believe we have had fun in today's lesson. Till I come your way again from Ace Radio School. Have fun!
This is an ACE charity initiative. Powered by the Malala Fund. Once again, children, if you have any questions about what you have learned today, please text 070 36 30 3182.